Also coming this week, it's expected that a major report from the Make America Healthy Again Commission will be released. Host of Real Ag Radio, Sean Haney, joins us now with the latest. Sean, always good to visit with you. So what is expected to be discussed related to agriculture?
Hey, great to be with you here this morning. So when we see the MAHA Commission findings this week, it's going to be pretty interesting in terms of how farmers and ranchers across the country feel about it. There's expected there's going to be a real focus on two things for sure: sugar and farm chemicals. Robert Kennedy Jr., as Secretary of Health and Human Services, has been very vocal about what he alleges to be the dangers of sugar. In one statement, he actually referred to sugar as poison. There also is a lot of concern about what happens as it applies to farm chemicals. He's been very critical of the FDA for being too lenient when it comes to some of the chemicals, and EPA, I should say, in terms of what is allowed to be used, and really trying to focus more on regenerative practices. Now, some people in the audience are going to be like, hey, this is great. And some people, when it comes to the restriction of farm chemicals, I think are going to be a little bit concerned, especially as it pertains to dealing with weed resistance.
All right. So how are farm groups reacting to all this?
Yeah, there's been a lot of reaction, but one of the quotes that stuck out to me was from the Sugar Association, the president and CEO, Courtney Gain, who said, comparing real sugar to illegal drugs is unscientific and will only harm U.S. sugarcane and sugar beet growers while doing nothing to improve America's health. And I think that's the kind of the crux of it. If you talk to any of the industry leaders, the farm groups, they'll tell you that the whole premise at 100,000 feet of what RFK is trying to accomplish in terms of trying to make Americans more healthy, everybody can get their head wrapped around that. I think where the disagreement lies is how we go about it. That's the bigger question.
Definitely so. And how do you think Secretary Rollins factors into this report?
Yeah, when the rumors were this report was going to come out last week while she was in the UK, I didn't really like that. I want Secretary Rollins to be as close to Washington, D.C. this week as possible to really fight for farmers and ranchers like you just talked about in the prior news segment in terms of family farms. I think the industry really needs Secretary Rollins to push back in some of the areas, especially it applies to sugar being poison and the use of farm chemicals. We know that farmers and ranchers across this country of the U.S. are using farm chemicals as responsibly as they possibly can, and to suggest anything else is completely it's pretty irresponsible. So we're going to need Secretary Rollins to really speak up this week.
Yeah, and I think she will do that. That's host of Real Ag Radio, Sean Haney. Thank you for your time today. You can catch Sean on his show, Real Ag Radio, which airs at 4:30 p.m. Eastern weekdays on Rural Radio, Channel 147 on Sirius XM. And we will talk with him again tomorrow, Market Day Report.